Plat.
So as a reputable industry leader here at Plat, we were obviously sent a PlayStation 5, but it got lost in the mail. So, of course, unfortunately, we're probably going to have to wait until 19th at the very earliest to play. So really, really sorry to obviously disappoint our fans. It is, UPS have an investigation open, and yeah, that's all we can say in that regard. So I think all we can do at this point then is just review the reviews of the PlayStation 5.
So meta.
Sorry to all our fans.
The dozens of fans. There are dozens of you out there.
Yeah. I think there's practically dozens of us.
At least we can definitely fit in a small shed. There's that many of us.
But yeah.
But we probably should.
Our HQ.
Yeah, our HQ. So, Dan, in light of that, what do you make of the initial reviews of the PS5?
As someone who is purchasing it day one, I'm very, very excited. I think the reviews seem to be overwhelmingly positive, which we'll maybe go into a little bit more detail about. But yeah, it seems to live up to next gen hype, I think, is the first impressions that I've gotten of it. Very few kind of reserved negative comments on the system itself. I think maybe the single biggest complaint a lot of people seem to have is maybe just the design of it and maybe the physical size. But I don't mind. I'm not restricted with space under my TV or anything, so that's not going to be a problem. And I actually think the design looks really cool. I always did.
Yeah, I kind of like it. Like, they've gone for a design and they've stuck with it. Now, like, some people don't like it, but I just always admire the fact, compared to the Xbox, kind of the new line of Xboxes, it like they literally just look like a modem or just like a hard drive, like a really inflated hard drive. Like, it's just, sure, it's probably perfectly functional, but it's got no panache. So I'd say like the PlayStation has at least a little bit of panache, like that they've put a bit of thought into the design, and also like it seems like we're going to get the changeable side plates. Like, that's going to be a interesting market.
That is something that I wasn't sure about because, technically you can take off the top of the PlayStation 4 quite easily, but no one ever went into the market of, third-party aftermarket, faceplates for the PlayStation 4. That glossy one on the first PlayStation 4 model was very, very easily slidable off. So I don't know, maybe they'll go down that route where there'll be an actual market for faceplates, but I don't know. I'm not certain.
Did you see the video where the name eludes me, but it was the kind of the look at the hardware video that Sony released, where the guy meticulously, like a serial killer, just cut open the PS5 and showed kind of what was happening under the surface. And it like that. That's
like
what.
Dexter or something.
Yeah, like Dexter, exactly. So that's what kind of set it off in motion in my head. That I think third party kind of faceplates are going to be a bigger thing this generation. Like, maybe I'll be wrong, but it was so seamless the way, like, it seemed a lot more intuitive to actually remove the side plate or the faceplate. So
I've seen, I know that there definitely is already companies doing it. I did see one and they were selling them for like $40 or something. Maybe, I think it would be cool, especially for things like limited edition consoles. It'd be cool if they just sold limited edition faceplates that you could just swap on. Save you having to, fork out 400 quid every time, a new game comes out that
or just haphazardly paint it yourself. Like a really terrible painting of Kratos.
Sacrilegious.
Jeff Goldblum Kratos. But like, what kind of sticks out for you with the reviews, like, that gets you particularly excited?
Yeah, the thing that I was thinking coming into this video and this discussion was how arbitrary a review score for a brand new console is. I just thought, it
review
seems
scores
so
in
pointless
general.
to market.
Yeah, like, I mean,
it's like, this, IGN gave the Xbox and the PlayStation both an 8 out of 10, and it's like, it just doesn't mean it means so little at this point. You know, there's
It really
no games
does.
out.
It really does,
Yeah.
because a console ultimately is only as good as the games you can play on it. Like when a push
Exactly.
comes to shove, I mean, like obviously, like consoles have been kind of going more towards, you know, like a multimedia center. You know, since the PS3, but also PS2, you could argue with the DVD player. That was kind of like the start of it, and like even PS1 and CD player. But maybe I'm going too far back. But the PS3 was like the first one that, you know, you could put music on it, you could put MP4s, you know, photos. It was like a media hub, and also with like apps, you know, like Netflix and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, maybe like they're relating it to like that, but I also think that
Yeah.
it is still ultimately a games console. It's kind of like, you know, a phone that doesn't make calls. Ultimately, like that is its baseline function. So if you have a smartphone that can make calls, like, you know, but like for me anyway, like what really captured my attention, I watched ACG and Easy Allies video on the PS5, and for me it's just the controller. Like I read the IGN review as well. It just seems like the
Yeah.
controller is getting all sorts of praise with the haptic feedback and just how it feels truly next gen. Such a
Yeah.
silly
Seems to
phrase,
be the
but
standout, definitely.
yeah, so that's kind of exciting for me. It feels like we're getting a double whammy of an upgrade, not only in terms of like raw horsepower with the console, but also just in how we interact with the games we're playing with the DualShock 5. So
Yeah.
that's actually something like I'm not getting it released day, I'm gonna wait. But
Yeah.
I mean, it must be a substantial improvement or a difference for so many reviewers to actually make a point of highlighting it. Because I
Yeah,
remember
they
like
even
when
had standalone like controller reviews. Now I know a lot of that
yeah,
was because that a lot of people got their hands on the controller first, but
mm-hmm.
it definitely, you know, the standout in every single review that I saw. I don't think I saw a single one criticize the DualSense. I think it's all been
Or the
across the board
Jules sense,
positive.
yeah, mm-hmm.
So it does seem, you know, that those haptic feedback features are more than a gimmick, which was maybe the first worry that a lot of people had when it was
Yeah,
announced.
yeah, but like you only need to look back at the six axis. I mean, when they kind of jumped aboard the motion control like train, like I just remember like say on Uncharted Drake's Fortune, like that how we're like you need to balance across the beam with it, and like
Yeah.
it was cool, but it was never truly expanded on. Like I still feel like the best example of it was Heavenly Sword when you control the arrows after you fire them, and that was like a
Yeah.
release game, you know,
Yeah,
and
and Lair, remember the dragon flying game as well,
yeah,
which was
yeah.
all six
So
axis. Yeah, but it
it
was
was
quite
kind,
clunky. Like
yeah, it was
wasn't great.
clunky, but I think just as time went on, developers just didn't bother their ass with it, you know, because that kind of
Yeah,
fell into the realm of gimmicky very quickly, and
I think
then
that
yeah,
touches on something that you know, another thing that I noticed as well was, of course, you know, we've got these new cards in the interface and the you know the OS on the
mm-hmm.
system. So you know they were showcasing it in Astro for, you know, showing you where collectibles are and, you know, getting you kind of over some maybe difficult bits inside the game. I feel like that I'm very worried about that in the sense that that's a gimmick, because I
Okay.
think they're showing it that basically developers can choose to include, you know, help and tips and guides inside these cards. But you know, I think leaving that to the developers means that it's obviously it's more work for a developer. You know, if they have to
Mm-hmm.
make an entire video guide for every single step in the game, that seems
Mm-hmm.
maybe a little bit unrealistic. I think that that's not something that's going to be as utilized as maybe Sony would like it to be, but maybe there's a way of them implementing like third-party guides in there instead,
Well, like
rather
what
than just
they
leaving it on maybe.
well, like what they do with the PS4, you know, when you highlight a trophy, just search internet, and just you just get like
Yeah,
all the results. Like, um, I personally wouldn't really go through the PlayStation when I'm looking for a guide though, because it just felt so unintuitive and just kind of slower.
yeah,
If I'm following a guide, it's normally just on a laptop beside me, because that way I'm not like leaving the game and I'm kind of saving those couple of seconds of like going through that whole process. like web browsing never felt too good on the PS4 or PS3, to be fair. So
No.
like the menu system like seems pretty seamless. Like it's kind of almost what I expected. It's kind of, we're sticking with the kind of square based, like the XMBs, and making a comeback. Like I just love the XMB menu personally. So it's kind of,
Yeah.
you got your tiled looks. The new trophy symbols. I'm kind of like, I don't like the square. It's kind of like, why tweak that? It just seems like a weird thing to change at this stage.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's messed up our our thumbnail and our
Did
own
they never think
trophy
of people
icons
like
and things.
us? Poor people
Yeah,
like us that have like enslaved
completely
themselves to this system.
thrown everything on top of its head and Platchum's level
Yeah,
anyway.
and I just think it's an odd decision to go to a 4:3 ratio in 2020. Like, and
I
like
saw
not a
that. Yeah, it's
16:9. Yeah,
been
it's
discussion.
just, and it's not even transparent at the bottom. Like, look, these are small little things that are the reason I'm waiting, just so they can iron these
Yeah,
out. That I never have to bear witness to an ill-proportioned trophy list when I look over my trophies. I like that these are the kind of things that why I kind of wait on that. Not that it ultimately matters to me. I just think it's a very bizarre, random change to implement with no like
yeah.
why. But
I know as well. They have they're trying to implement kind of more system level settings that will carry over to games as well. So they had those
mhm
things like set as default to always play at the hardest difficulty, for example, or language subtitle options, things like that.
mhm
Which I suppose it remains to be seen how useful it's going to be. I think a lot of games don't follow the same formula about how they rate difficulty. So
mhm
playing on playing on the hardest difficulty in like a Call of Duty game is going to be very different than playing the hardest difficulty on like The Last of Us, for example.
yeah yeah
So I
yeah.
don't know how useful that would be setting the difficulty on the system level, but maybe it'll work.
Maybe, but I don't see, because anyone that's old enough to play through a game would be old enough and smart enough to be able to just change the difficulty as they start a new game. If it's kind of with tied in with parental controls, where if some
Mm,
father or mother don't want their child to be exposed to the horrors of grounded difficulty, that they can just tie into like easy. But you never know. Look, these things are in place for people that may not, need them, but there's always a small contingent of people, like I think for one what they are doing with accessibility options is fantastic,
yeah,
for people with sight or hearing impairments. Like that deserves a lot of praise. And I like, even with The Last of Us Part 2, you could talk about that game all day, but I thought it was remarkable and deserving of praise that they incorporated so many accessibility options. So it's nice to see that come into play on a system level again. That's another thing I kind of took away from it, that they're trying to make gaming for everyone. And also,
yes,
like, I
yeah,
think as a side effect, they're trying to make trophies for everyone, because
yeah,
like the
yeah.
recent
That's
level
another
change.
topic that we might delve a little bit deeper into.
Yeah, but look, ultimately, it looks like it's going to be a great piece of kit. I mean, we can microanalyze all the small things, but it's early days. But my first impressions of other people's first impressions, because our Platchum's priority post is still pending. Um, but controller looks stellar. I can't wait to
Yep.
actually get just to grips with what the haptic feedback can bring to gaming, and kind of take it on like a new step of kind of interactivity and kind of immersion.
Yeah.
Console, it's kind of what I expected with the UI, kind of like a streamlined, faster PS4 menu. Like, I mean, it's functional, it's clean, it's clear, it's kind of what you expect from Sony. Um,
Yeah.
and
I have to
yeah,
say I'm a little bit disappointed about the themes. I've had the same kind of dynamic Firewatch theme since 2015.
it
So
is a good one.
I'm
It is a good
disappointed
one.
that I won't be able to bring that over. But I do like
Yeah.
I like the way that all the game art is kind of highlighted. It looks
Mm-hmm.
quite nice.
Yeah, there's small little details like that, but I think Sony is. I say this as a huge fan. They're woeful at their cross-generational support. You know, like you could talk about how like the PS2 classics that you bought on PS3 didn't carry over to PS4. You had to rebuy them. So like I remember owning Vice City on the PS3. That's a digital version of a game. Why do I need to re-buy it? And it's just their online presence, particularly their storefronts, it's just a mess. It's just a mess. Like the way they removed the support for like PSP games, where like I legitimately can't download my PSP games in a proper manner anymore. PS1 classics, like they removed the option just to copy and paste the little download bubble that came onto the XMB menu on your PS3. Then you could paste that onto the PSP. So like the whole dynamic themes, I feel like, you know, that's just like another symptom of that problem that Sony has had for quite a while, that they seem just like it's not a streamlined process. Like I'm hoping that the leap to PS5, like they've worked on the store, they've worked on all that hopefully they're kind of repairing that back end stuff. But I think it is abysmal when you look at what Microsoft are doing with, you know, the backwards compatibility, that a lot of your digital footprint is kind of stuck on previous generations when, you know, there's no reason for it to be other than you could just say money. And also the fact that
I think Microsoft definitely have been industry leaders in that, and I think that is maybe more their shift in business model, because I think they're kind of gearing up for the future where they want to be present across platforms. Even the PlayStation, I'm sure, will be kind of one of their primary homes, because that does seem to be maybe their focus is more the software, digital live service kind of subscription model.
No, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. But before we kind of wrap this up, what is it that appeals to you with the PS5? Like, what did you? Because you're getting it day one, man. You know, in Europe anyway.
Yeah.
Day
one Europe. I'm very disappointed that we have to do that extra week wait. But
I know.
You know, I think again, I think the scores are pretty arbitrary at this point. Maybe unless you're just purely scoring it on like its functionality, but again, you know, these are things that are going to evolve over time. I'll be one of the paying beta testers, I suppose. One of the gullible fools, but I'm happy to do it. I'm excited. You know, there's definitely a few things that are missing, like that Tempest 3D audio is not going to be kind of fully available at launch. So again, you know, that's kind of a repeat of the PS4 promises that never materialized at launch and kind of got rolled out afterward. I expected that kind of stuff, to be honest. You know, they usually do over promise, under deliver a little bit with any kind of launch. But overall, you know, I like it aesthetically. It's going to be super powerful. That's the main thing. Demon's Souls is coming out. Like the SSD, like I was looking at, I was only playing Ghost of Tsushima. I just started it, and I was just thinking, like, wow, like this game looks so good, and it's on 7-year-old tech. You know, what are they gonna do in 7 years on the PS5? Like, it's exciting, and that's it. You know, it's great to get a generational shift. I'm just excited for that. I'm giddy for the future of gaming.
So am I, man. So, what do you guys think? Are you looking forward to the PS5? Are there any elements that have stuck out to you? Are you looking forward to getting the grips? Or if you already gotten the grips with the DualSense, please let me know how it is, because it's going to be a while before these fingers touch anything so advanced, unfortunately. So,
can't even socially distance. We have to socially distance, so we can't even try it out together, unfortunately.
That's a shame. But anyway, thanks for watching. We'll try a little high five. We've been Plat. There it is. There it is. So, see you guys.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Plat.